Welcome, brothers. Welcome, sisters. Welcome to our program On Target. We're back with you again, and you have the power, you have the medium, you have the opportunity, you have the via to pick up the telephone and express yourself. Some people feel that we're speaking about one thing every day, and I encourage you to introduce new subject matter. That's what the program is about. You have to understand that our democratic process in Grenada is live and well. From 1983, we have had election when it was due, and the party who lost election within 24 hours conceded defeat. The party who won free and square and free from fear. You have to understand that Grenada have made a lot of improvements. In fact, I would say by leaps and bounds. Electricity, telephone, water, and internet in Grenada is second to none, comparable with the best and better than most. We have one of the best network of roads in the region. And I don't complain about roads, because most farmers who have in the adequate amount of lands have access to four-wheel drive vehicles. And four-wheel drive vehicles is for off-road. Grenada have the most land owners in the region. So it gives Grenadians a sense of independence and proprietorship. That is why the experiment with the revolution could not have succeeded. Too much Grenadians are independent land owners. The police claim that we have over 60,000 registered vehicles. It shows a high level of discretionary income in the country. Our education systems in terms of structure and personnel and ambience and aesthetic is well. Most of our 20% of our teachers drive themselves to school. Some schoolyard don't even have enough space for the amount of vehicles that he has. Our teachers are better paid today than any other time in our history. Although the productivity level is wanting. So we have a good platform to take off from. When the Prime Minister of Grenada now said that nothing significant has been achieved in Grenada since 1983, the Prime Minister lied. It was not the truth. All politicians in Grenada, political leaders in Grenada, have tried well with the baton. It is true that we had only 2 sprinters and 2 long-distance runners, Eric Matthew Gary and Kit Mitchell. They were the most successful politicians in Grenada since 1967. They did a very good job. Yes, you're going to arouse a lot of hate because they were so successful. It is not easy for the members of the National Democratic Congress. The NNP under Kit Mitchell have beaten them up on 3 occasions, leaving them with less seat than a bicycle. They are angry, they're upset, they're ashamed, and they're going to fire back. And they don't have a forgiving heart. So you have to have sympathy for them. You have to understand, they're still bitter. They're blaming everybody because they are badly beaten on 3 occasions. And based upon the trajectory they're in, they are worried that the same fate awaits them. We have built over 28 schools in 13 and a half years in Grenada. Pre-education, pre-primary education, that is what you call kindergarten now, technical education. And every government that come in have educated people. What is the problem? I believe that we must not walk around town with a briefcase, a certificate, and a bag of problem. We have too much Grenadians playing turkey cock, showing off, giving the impression that they're from the privilegencia class, and they are not coming up with solution. So today, I want to present some solution for discussion. You don't have to accept it, but examine it for what it is worth, and let us discuss it and modify it and make it in a more palatable manner. I believe that one of the biggest challenges we have in Grenada is our health system. I don't agree with most people that the health system is as bad as they claim. I think the biggest problem with the health system is lack of confidence and not adequate management. So what do I suggest? I suggest 1, government train 15 medical doctors every year. Every year from 2025, government send 15 medical doctors and train. A medical doctor take about 5 or 6 years to train. So in the next 16 years, we will have 150 medical doctors in the marketplace. Give or take 2 of them dead. We must train 15 medical doctors every year. Grenada have the money to train them. Some people may say they don't have the money. 1, we have the St. George's University. The minister, if that is the policy of government, when government go to other countries, they must ask for training for medical personnel. Your number 1 request in the international market must be training for medical personnel. You go to Brazil, India, Nigeria, Japan, Australia, every big country you engage, ask for training for medical doctors. You have Venezuela, Colombia, Costa Rica, El Salvador, all these countries. They have millions of people. So giving Grenada 2 scholarship is not a big thing for them. Our foreign minister must make sense. Obviously, the one we have there is a mama pool. It don't make no sense. The best way for him is in the Ministry of Education. The next thing we must do, Grenada have complained that the people they train are leaving the country. So we must bring a bill into Parliament and put legislation. That's where you legislate discipline. We are an ill-disciplined people. So you legislate discipline. For every 1 year of tertiary training, we must get 38 months of service from the person who is being trained. So if you train a man for 1 year, he must prepare to serve the country for 38 months. Otherwise, he must pay back the cost of the training. Whether the cost was borne by government or the government that negotiated, you negotiate with that individual or the government of Grenada the cost of his training. Let me repeat that, because I want us to discuss it. I want to provoke discussion on it. Every 1 year of tertiary education. So the people who go in secondary school, I don't call it tertiary education. Those who go in national college, I don't call it tertiary education. All those who go to SGU is tertiary education. Every 1 year of training, you must be prepared to serve the country for 38 months. That must be in legislation. If a respite is necessary, it must be a decision of Parliament based upon the individual case. We have to solve our problems. We can't walk in around town, stretching up with chest like turkey cock, and we can't solve simple problems. That is one way. So in the next 10 years, in the next 20 years, Grenada could have enough medical doctors. And if we choose to export doctors, then we go back to Parliament and make that decision. If a man do a master's degree for 1 year, he does his master's in 1 year, he must serve the government for 38 months. What does it cost The government every year must make the public known what is the average cost of a scholarship per annum. So people have a good idea. What does it cost to train a man for 1 year? $80,000? $100,000? Then that person must serve you for 3 years. Or at least he must remain in the country for 3 years. 38 months. I prefer 38 months than 3 years. We have to solve our problem. There is absolutely no need for the government to build a new hospital. None. A new hospital will cost the government $500 million or more, not less, to build and partly retrofit. And it would take minimum 10 years. Minimum, it would take 10 years. And it will cost the government over $500 million. While the grass is growing, the horse is starving. There is no need for a new hospital. The government is advancing the view that is a teaching hospital. What does that mean? The government wants to bamboozle the public. Why Grenada want to build a teaching hospital? The St. George's University provides the most doctors for the United States of America. So students from the St. George's University, it is natural for the hospitals in America to want the students from St. George's University to do the internship in the hospital. And they would monitor them there. And some of them would get jobs in the hospital. If somebody from St. George's University get the internship in Grenada, the St. George's Hospital, the hospitals in the United States of America would prefer them when they have 5 years experience. If you build a teaching hospital, do we have enough people in Grenada for these people to get practice on? Because that is what a teaching hospital about. To get specimen for practice. To get guinea pig for practice. Because of the size of our population, they would not have enough specimen in any particular category. And Grenadians may well be used as guinea pig. Grenada seems to have a natural affinity to the Marxist-Leninist principles. And with the United States of America having a hospital here, you become more fragile. So I'm debunking the reason given for a teaching hospital. The government needs to make sure you have medical personnel, medical service, and medical supplies in our hospital. We have enough room in St. George's Hospital to expand the hospital. Where the area where you have Duncan water could take a 3-story building. The area where you had the psychiatric unit, I think they have it now as an emergency unit, could take another 3-story building. Maribor Hospital, you could expand Maribor to have 50 additional beds and all the necessary auxiliary support system necessary for 50 additional beds. The clinic in St. Patrick's, the St. Patrick's Medical Clinic, you could upgrade it so we have a doctor there operating 24/7. That means to have a doctor operating 24/7, you have to have 3 general practitioners in the area. The same could be done with Guelph, St. John. You have 3 medical practitioners operating 24/7. We will improve primary health care and preventative care. You can have a dentist 5 or 6 days for the week in both facilities. And you can bring a psychologist. Too much of people end up with tabanka, and rheumitis. And the World Health Organization says that the most amount of death by the year 2050 would come from stressful situations. So you need psychologists. To start with, people might be wary of the psychologists. But as you continue, you're going to see the need for psychologists. Even some of our politicians in Grenada need to go to the psychologist. They're calling people classless and commoners and beggy and lunatic and idiots and good people and bad people. They need to go to the psychologist. We need to solve problems. We don't need to make an albatross, a milestone around our neck. A new hospital building would not improve the service in Grenada. Grenada is 110,000 people. And it's not likely that our population will improve significantly unless we bring in people. Grenada seems to be hostile against immigrants. So what is the justification for a new hospital? What you need is medical personnel. Bring in medical doctors. Whether they come from India, Africa, South America. Bring in medical doctors. But by the next 6 years, Grenada will have their own doctors. Because you will be training 15 medical doctors per annum. You have the people in Grenada to train. Some of the people in jail today that would be in jail today, if they had opportunities, there would be medical doctors. Doctors don't have to doctor. Go in our schoolhouse. The majority of children in the schoolhouse, they want to be doctor, nurse, lawyer. 1 or 2 bandits want to be police. The majority of them. They don't want to be farmers. They don't want to be agricultural scientists. They don't want to be businessmen. They say they want to be doctor and lawyer and nurse and police. So you have candidates. So we could get 15 medical doctors every year. And I want you to challenge me on that. Tell me if you have a good foreign minister and he asks India, Pakistan, Belgium, United States of America to train 2 medical doctors for you for a year, for the next 5 years, if they wouldn't do it. And then you have St. George's University here, where you could continue to train medical doctors. And you legislate discipline. So it's part of the law. You don't have to go and sign no bond with anybody. An individual know that if he takes government money and he gets an education, that he have to serve 38 months for every year that he been trained. 38 months for every year that he been trained. So if he did his master's degree in 1 year, he have to serve the country for 38 months. And that is reasonable. Because the government could cost, a scholarship could cost over $100,000. Now, Pope John Paul very early warned developing countries that you must not invest in tertiary education at the expense of primary and secondary education. Let me put the qualifier one time. He did not say don't invest. He said not at the expense. In Grenada today, we seem to be investing in tertiary education at the expense of primary and secondary education, and there is nothing in place to keep those we are training. Why? I believe those in authority, they don't want laws to pass because they want the children go and they don't want to put no pressure on the children to serve the country. We are an ill-disciplined bunch. We must legislate discipline. I want to repeat that. We seem to be a very ill-disciplined bunch of people. You see how the government flung the law in the bank that was enacted since 1973, so they could raid the bank, they could take money for the bank for ministers, the directors, and the members of the family. That is ill discipline. You see the ease with which we accept expensive gifts from individuals and companies, and we set up rogue boards so they're going to rubber stamp our evil. That is ill discipline. So I here advance for discussion that we must legislate discipline. We must stop complaining that our scholars, academia, our intelligentsia, our trained people are leaving the country. Grenada or no other country in the Caribbean will ever be able to compete with the developing world for professionals. They're going to go. So you have to discipline them. You have to legislate discipline. An individual must know, if you take government money and you go and get a scholarship and you refuse to serve government, then you're a criminal. You just as an individual that borrow money from the bank and abandon your responsibility. Your name shall be blacklisted and you will be put on the wanted list. United States, England, and the developing world will always able to pay for the best. Grenada will never be able to compete with the type of money that exists in the big world. So I appeal for discussion. My good cousin, Blash from Ticolor, he seems to be the newly radicalized militant of the NDC. Don't attack me. Listen to what I say and see if there is any merit in it. The NDC have a history and not good thinkers. And when they're in power, they just do some very unorthodox and uneconomical things. So here I advance a suggestion for discussion. I want to provoke discussion on it. We must solve our problems. You cannot have people in Grenada playing from the privilegencia, walking around with accountability, transparency, and good governance around the neck like a gallard. And we cannot solve problems. We could solve the problem that we have. We have enough educated people in Grenada, whether they have certificate or not, to solve problems. One of the biggest challenges we have is health problem. We need to have confidence in the system. We can change the dynamics in health in 1 year. In 1 year. Imagine you operating St. John and St. Patrick's, and there is doctors 24/7, and there is dentists 5 days or 6 days for the week, and there are psychologists available in both clinics. You want to really ease up the pressure on St. George's. Less people would be going to St. George's. And then you can concentrate on more professional help in St. George's. This is not rocket science. You could do that. If you want to add more bed space in Maribor, you have the land. You could add a 3-story building in Maribor and put 30 additional beds with the necessary auxiliary support system without spending 500 million. When you spend this money in a loan, you're going to bury yourself in debt for the next 20 years, and you will not be able to provide the necessary medical personnel, the medical supplies. and the medical service in the country. Quite a lot of small countries, they have a show-off mentality. They like big projects. And funding agencies don't care. They want to bury you in debt. China has been accused repeatedly of funding projects in developing countries that they don't need. Because the Chinese come here for 1,000 years and they want to bury you in debt. So you obligated to them. When your neighbor house on fire, take water and wet yours. All of us in Grenada would be guilty as charged if we permit the government to build these massive projects that will be a burden on our back. I pray discussion on it. If we had journalists, most of our journalists, according to Malcolm X, some of them hands are tied behind the back. And the government, the prime minister, undertaking a project that will cost over $500 million, must be able to discuss it with the public and be scrutinized and be questioned. Yes, caller, welcome.
Is that a good afternoon? How are you doing?
Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, I heard you talking about like dentists and health police and what the prime minister should do and what he shouldn't do. Now, I mean, so why Dr. Mitchell didn't do them things when he was in office? And that big waste stadium, what they done in River Road Day, is only time when carnival or whatever, like bingo, like you see that it has something there, you know. You can look at it, that big stadium, So this is not waste money. So even though like the government intend to build, why you have to build? No, I mean, and see that it's a waste building or whatever. Mr. Pierre, it's time for us to love good for the country. It's time for us to like our country and let me see that the improvement. Now I mean for our children and great grandchildren and them, because the country is going good and see no problems. And things you talking about that again, that things what was there for the NMP to do. But now at the altar office they know, now I mean all of you bumping up, all you go and saying a lot of wrong things. In a country you must get help. You must go out there. You know what I mean? You cannot stay here to get help. And Dr. Kid Mitchell used to make turns to and come back. And when he used to leave the country, nobody knows when he leave the country. He goes, I come and have dinner, me and my wife. Anybody know how much that he used to come back with? Mr. Pierre, you see the lovely road on the Victoria in this place of the Bonnet Road, St. Mark's of the, Mr. Pierre, the country moving.
What's about Got Road, color?
The country moving.
Color.
All the roads on him. All the roads on him now, you know what I mean, improving now, because that what was the NNP was for them to do. But being as they lose out of office now, our opposition have a lot to say. You know what I mean? Either right or wrong or whatever, but the opposition forces must have something to say bad about who in office. You know? I find this government is moving, speed up, Now I mean health-wise, now I mean everything good. You cannot build Rome in one day time, or you cannot build a house in 2 days time. You know? So one say hats up.
Thank you.
To the Prime Minister.
Thank you,
hard working team. You have a blessed afternoon.
Yes, caller. Now, I want to say to some Grenadians, the people who will be affected the most are the people in the lower income group. There are a lot of people in Grenada who have medical health insurance. A lot of teachers, senior public officers, some policemen, some people who work with NAWASA, telephone company and electricity company, some people in the bank, they have medical health insurance. So they may not care much until they're sick. But you who don't have nothing, you need to pay attention to what I say the most. Yes, caller, welcome.
Hey, Mr. Pierre, afternoon.
Yeah.
The question I want to ask Grandian, alright, who supporting?
You're going down with the voice.
Who supporting this government? The healthcare situation in Grenada improve? It is better?
Well, the minister said it was not better, it was.
The minister said that. He said they don't even move in. You need to look at the road situation again, Mr. Pierre. Look at the road network. Look at the situation with the bush all covering the road. Let us look at in agriculture again. Look at what the Prime Minister did with Maxim Board. Look at look at the statement the Prime Minister made, right? That the NDC don't know who is the real NDC. That why other people getting work. How could a Prime Minister made a statement and when the caller saying that the country going good, it talk about the young people. The young people who are young people in the country, in the country here, not only NDC people, and the people have to. And I say a government, election call, and a government to any party win is a government for all. Right? So when that caller saying that okay, the country going good, to me something.
Caller, the country going good for some people.
Exactly, that's what I come to say.
Some people get $9,000 and they want to have land. And some people that have land, they don't give them.
They don't give them.
Some people got tax break. And a number of people have massive contract in the country. Don't expect them to say the country not going good.
Mr. Pierre is also alleged for one piece of land, a husband and wife, two of them have the same land. Husband get money for that
land. Just telling some people get money because they want to have land.
The country going good.
Because they want to have land, they get money under the crib.
Exactly.
So some people, the country is going good for some people.
Look at the situation.
Not the majority of people.
Not the majority. Look at the situation. People carry cool, very fast. Right? The government get money. They get Christmas money. Look at what they doing to people carry competing Martinique. Then people need how the government need to reach out and help them. Mr. Pierre?
Yes, Carl.
Have a blessing.
Yes, thank you. So we must have discussion. When issues come, we must have discussion. We must play around with the ideas. So when the NDC politician, they that in charge, every time you speak about what's going on in the country, somebody tell you about Dr. Kit Mitchell. Dr. Kit Mitchell is the best political leader, the most successful politician and political leader that passed in Grenada. The best. So we're speaking about NDC now. You that in office. The microscope is on you. You alone that could answer the questions. You are saying you want to build a new hospital. You hiding information from people. But the hospital will cost no less than $500 million. And it will be about 10 years before the hospital is built and partially retrofitted. Yes, caller, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, my sister, welcome.
Yes. How are you doing?
Great, man, as usual. Great.
Yes. I just want to clarify an issue. One of the callers before had stated. I know the NNP administration, yes, while in office, used to have weekly press conferences on every Tuesday, yes, after coming from the cabinet. So regardless to any minister or or whoever the cabinet decide going to go on the press conference, every week they presented themselves to the people and give account of the stewardship of the government. If they came from abroad, they will say what assistance they got and who and so on. You know? So, and then the former Prime Minister used to have a program called Face to Face, where it goes to every community, yes, and he always told the people, the question that is hard is the one that you don't ask. So people, 15 seats, with transparency in the community, and listen and hear from the people. And that's where consultation with the people, engagement with the people. So I must say that this government should take a page of that going forward. So I just want to let people be aware and could do their research and know exactly what it is. So, Cultureman, I can also give you more information on that. Thank you, Mr. Pierre.
Don't go. You gone?
No, not there.
You remember the Prime Minister promised freedom of information legislation? Deacon Mitchell promised the journalists and them that he's going to legislate freedom of information. When Deacon reached there, he deceived them. And he said information is on a need-to-know basis.
You understand?
You hear? Right. Thank you.
Yeah, and Mr. Pierre, listen to me again. One more point before I forgot. Yesterday, I was in a bus traveling to Grenville, and the bus passed through Telescope to drop children at the Telescope Primary School and even at the back of the Progress Park, preschool there. And whilst the bus going there, people stop them and say, oh, you cannot go down the road. So my advice to those contractors on the road, and even the police, the traffic department, put a sign to say no vehicle is allowed to go in, because it's not easy for you to go all the way down, and you have to come back on the road to go out on the main road. Thank you, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, and that's when we have a government that flaunts the law. It causes a rippling effect on the ground. Because the government is so disrespectful, rude, the language they use is demeaning, it causes a rippling effect on the ground. So those who have the contract believe we don't have to tell nobody nothing. If you know, you know. Information is based upon need to know. That is what happened on the ground. When we complain about the government, the leaders, your disrespectful attitude have a rippling effect on the ground. Those in charge, well, when I meet them crowd that has behave like those made the sovereign and them in Africa, are very respectful, because I know they set for me like 10 crab trap. You see, we have to face this reality. We cannot say we don't know. Dr. Kit Mitchell and the NNP liberalized the telecommunication network. That's why we on radio. That's why we could speak. That's why we could challenge the government. That's why we could tell them, take us on. So when we put out a position, we provoking discussion for the betterment of the country. We want to discuss it. Today we want you to legislate discipline. This country have to return to discipline. The Deacon Mitchell is flaunting the law with impunity. All Grenadians were affected. You see where we're going with the CBI program. Because irrespective of the fact that Deacon was warned that Russia had an embargo on them because they attacked Ukraine. They say everybody is a human being. You remember Persuader in the house? And Deacon went and make more Russians citizens. And then he sent a Grenadian football team, I understand. They want to keep that low kid in Russia. Now, how does that Europe respond to that? Ask yourself. Remember, Grenada was the country the American invade, you know. Because Maurice Bishop say, if you touch Nicaragua, you touch Cuba, you touch Grenada, AK speaking Spanish, and Reagan can understand it. Reagan went to the White House and he said it's not nutmeg that's at stake, you know. It's the American national security. So when the Grenada government was told, you cannot continue to sell CBI citizenship to Russian. They say everybody's a human being, they're selling to everybody. And they send a Grenadian football team in Russia. I heard, I don't know if it's absolutely true, because they're very conservative with the information. A Grenadian football team in the Caribbean, that is defiance. That is fight talk. So the European Union could retaliate. Who stand the consequences? Claudia Joseph said, the IMF warned us already that we could cause irreparable damage to the economy. People were concerned that the government depended too much on the CBI program to fund the budget. Irrespective of all this cry from the public, all this warning, the Prime Minister said, no, he wants plenty Russian. He is going to destroy the CBI program for all the other Caribbean islands. And he said that the Prime Minister of Dominica warning Grenada Prime Minister that his action is detrimental to the CBI program. He laughing, ha ha ha. But I believe we must solve problem. We have too much a problem as a small community. We cannot blame the fathers of yesteryear. And when we speak about Grenada, we must compare. You can't speak about Grenada in a vacuum. You must compare Grenada with the other Caribbean countries. We have done well. But we have the tendency to regress, to take action that is practically suicidal. We had that in 1983. Maurice Bishop evoked the Angola option, and it led to a massacre of no mean quality. They executed Maurice Bishop, a pregnant woman, a young girl. All of them was executed on the foot. Some of the bodies were picked up with spade. The bodies was burnt and then buried. Why we going down that same trajectory? Why? Why so much Grenadians are silent? In 2008, 2013, we were selling property assets to meet current expenditure. Where are our mathematicians? Where are our economists? Where are our managers of business? We're going on the same trend. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, my brother.
And I like the train that you're on this afternoon. Now, Mr. Pierre, I listened to you.
You're going a little low.
Huh?
Yeah, you're a little low.
All right. I hope I'm not too low.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Now, listen. I have heard how harsh you've been against Cuba and all the arguments you put forward. I don't have no problem with that. You speak about Russia for whatever reason and the amount of passports that that's being issued to citizens of Russian background.
You're going on low.
Okay, I hope I'm not. Okay,
Yeah, otherwise the public will hear you.
all right, I want them to hear. Now, but Mr. Pierre, one of the things we must all understand here in this country is that who dumped Taiwan for China? So then now I want to, when we're making an argument like that, I want us to ask ourselves, what was the reasoning and rationale behind the NNP and Dr. Mitchell dumping a democratic country for an undemocratic country? That is the first point I want. The next one is this now. Listen to this, Mr. Pierre. Under the NNP, there was a lot of concrete work taking place all over the island. Today, I have seen the same kind of work taking place, whether it is box drain, retaining wall. You know, I must admit the piece of concrete work they do in the back of the fish market in Grenville, it looks excellent. But the question I'm asking this afternoon is this. When this same work was taking place under the NNP, it was being said that people cannot eat concrete. And I agree then. The question I'm asking this afternoon, is the cement and the sand that is being used? No, let me get to the point. And as I traverse the country, I have seen a lot of this work taking place today under the present administration. I must give them credit. And the surrogates and the activists on social media is promoting it in a very nice way, the concrete work. The question I'm asking, is the cement and sand that's been used today, is it different from what was being used before? The gravels, is it different? The water, is it the one that's been bottled by Mount Pure or by Glenelg? Is this the water that we've been using, that we are using today to do the same concrete work? My reasoning and rationale for saying this thing and making a statement like that is, how come the concrete today tastes so sweet and the same concrete before with the same mixture tastes so bitter? Have a pleasant day, sir.
Yes, sir, I agree with you, and I've taken a position many years that I am well satisfied with the road network and the infrastructure in Grenada. And because we have one of the best road network, maintenance of road going to always be a problem. And sometimes I hear people complaining about roads and I don't join them. And I never bothered with the criticism when the NDC was criticizing the NNP on road. I did not agree with them, but I didn't say anything. And I know, and I see them fixing the road, and I don't making any issue about that. Because you have to try to maintain the road. What we have to do is to make use of that beautiful network. On the question of China and Taiwan, Caller, I vehemently supported Taiwan. I support Taiwan because Taiwan is an independent country like ours, and I felt that the move over from Taiwan to China, I did not agree with it. But I know that the NDC wanted China too. Most countries in the Caribbean support China. The government moved over to China, and China is here for 1,000 years. The Chinese are very smart people. They're very diplomatic. If they promise you something, they're taking the time and do it. Some of the criticism against the Chinese investment here is practical. You have a Chinese company building a multi-million-dollar project in Liver. But there doesn't seem to be any multiplying effect in the villages going up to Liver. If it was an American company, money would have flowed throughout the company. The Chinese don't interfere with your festival, your politics, nothing. You don't even know when a Chinese dead. The Chinese are here over 20 years, some of them must dead. You don't know where they're dead. They generally do not promote religion because the communists don't believe in God. They claim religion is the opium of the people. So if a Chinese dead on the side, they bury him on the side. I never hear a Chinese dead. Some of them most dead. Some of them must have had accidents. We have a clash of a different culture. When the Chinese come here, they plan for 1,000 years. Even though they stay for 50 years in Grenada, they don't want to speak English to you unless it is absolutely necessary. They could speak English, but they would not speak it to you. We have a clash of cultures. And we here are very lackadaisical and complacent. Eventually, Grenada is one of the places the Chinese will own. The only reason the Chinese influence is not greater here because the Chinese are racist people. That's my view. I'm not against Russia. But I'm saying Grenada depended on the CBI program, and it is because of the blessing of the European and the American. So it makes all sense if a war is going on and the very people you giving the CBI program is not Grenada they want to come. They want to go in America and Europe. And if the Europeans and Americans say we put an embargo on these countries and you should discontinue the practice, I believe it is dumb. It is politically wise. You have to be a political lunatic to do what our government did. They went in direct opposition to the European Union and flood the CBI program with Russians. And then to add insult to injury, we are hearing they send a football team in Russia to defy the embargo. You have to be a political lunatic. And I put them in the same vein when Maurice Bishop was taunting Ronald Reagan and calling him cowboy. Yes, caller, welcome. Caller gone. I believe you see Chester Humphrey say, Project Grenada. What is in Grenada interest? Even China tell you, it's not a black cat or a white cat, but a cat that holding rat. So our Grenadian politicians, irrespective of their ideological perspective, must seek the interests of Grenada at all times. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yes, Mr. Pierre, good afternoon.
Yes, my brother.
And how are you?
Great, man.
Right. Mr. Pierre, I noticed something in the news there where the telescope, what used to be the dumping site before, is being reactivated without the notice of the people. And you see a lot of derelict vehicles there, and the people are complaining that they're cutting down the trees there. One person who is walking there came out on the news and said that they're not cutting all the trees, and some of the trees they're cutting is just temporary, and some of the vehicles that is there is for temporary. Now, I mean, I expect a government or people in authority to do better than that. If you're going to interfere with the people's normal habit of living, something should be said to them. And then taking out old vehicles where there and putting it into a neighborhood, I can't see how it could be right. I think something should be done. I mean, about 5 or 7 persons spoke, and everyone of them have the same thing. I mean, it's a village. How you can be asking people to develop the village and at the same time using your own power on them without even having a dialogue with the people. I think that is not fair. Totally not fair to the resident.
Caller, you heard me on the radio speaking about the consequences of restorative justice. You heard me speak relentlessly about people in NDC calling people classless and commoners and beggy and good people and bad people, lunatics and idiots.
And the speaker of the house listen to that and say,
you hear these things. So based upon the attitude of the government is promoting classism in the country. And maybe they see people in Telescope, River Road, Pause as nothing. So they say, go and put the garbage there. This is the quality of the leaders we have. And I've been screaming out for 2 years now, asking for justification why the government introducing vengeance program in our country.
And the trouble is the person that's speaking on behalf of the said that it is cheaper. I mean, that's an insult.
Well, yes, and they say most of the people...
It's cheaper to take it out in the north and bring it there.
And a number of NDC...
People must be careful with the words that they're using.
Caller, that is the policy of NDC. How they go careful with the words? That is a policy. A number of NDC militants on the radio say, those people in Telescope squatting. Well, I ask, what's about those who don't squatting? They don't care about Telescope people.
Oh, no, I think we have to do better.
Well, the first thing you have to do, ask the government, what is the justification for restorative justice? That is the consequences. I've been speaking about the consequences for 2 years. Yes, caller, thank you.
Thank you.
You have a call on the line? We lost a caller. Caller, you could call back. No, we have to be very clear. It is the first time in all my life I notice leaders of our country that fighting to put themselves in a privilegencia class. They're disrespectful. I am shocked when I hear what comes from ministers' mouth. I am shocked. They have no respect for the ordinary man. And when I look at the present 9 ministers in government, most of them are poor people children. The prime minister was seriously influenced, I understand, by the grants. And the grants are related to Bishop. And Bishop is related to the Lagunas. So the prime minister must believe he hinting. But the prime minister father from Munich. And he's a poor person. All the other ministers come from poor parentage. But I don't know if the fact that they raise the income by 300%, that they believe they're in a new privilegencia class and they're better than people. So as far as they're concerned, the people at Telescope means nothing to them. And we come to the end of our program. Sometimes things move fast. But we encourage people to discuss the issue, particularly the question about legislation of discipline and training 15 medical doctors per annum. We're back with you again tomorrow between 12 and 1 when you have another opportunity on Target. Thank you very much.